Some time ago, a friend of mine said to me, "What is gravity?" It sounds very difficult to understand, even though it applies all over the universe. I looked at my friend with sympathy, because in reality, gravity was the easiest thing to understand. And I said, "Do you really want me to tell you the truth?" And my friend said, "Tell me. I think I can take it." And I said, "To understand gravity, I am going to ask you to give me the names of a few animals that have heads and tails." And my friend said, "Well, yes, because there are so many of them. But what has heads and tails anything to do with gravity?" And I'll give you a few examples. Dogs, cats, frogs, bacteria, viruses, and even humans in the womb, in the embryonic state, have heads and tails. And I said, "Yes, that is correct." Would you say that heads and tails are a widespread occurrence in microbiology and biology? And my friend said, "Yes, I believe so. It is an extremely common occurrence." And I said, "What if I told you that heads and tails also apply in particle physics? There is the proton head and the electron tail of hosts, protons, electrons. And there is magnetism between protons and electrons. The proton has a positive charge and the electron a negative charge. But there is more proof that host, protons, electrons are one organism. In the neutron, host, protons, electrons have their heads and tails attached, and there is no charge. My friend said, "So are you saying then that hosts and tails have a lot to do with gravity?" I said, "Yes, that is correct. When virus neutrinos turn on levels of heat, it affects the relationship between proton heads and electron tails. So the greater the heat, the greater the distance between protons and electrons. But there is still magnetism between protons and electrons, and that magnetism is gravity." And my friend said, "Give me an example then." And I said, "Well, a star is extremely hot, and you will find that in the core of the star there are more protons. In the outer layers of the star there are more electrons. This is because protons are bigger, heavier, and slower, and that's why there are more of them in the core. But because electrons, the tails of protons, are lighter, smaller, and faster, you will find that there are more of them in the outer layers of the star. But there is still magnetism between protons in the core and electrons in the outer layers of the star. And that magnetism keeps the star together." And my friend said, "Well, I suppose the same applies to planet Earth. The core of planet Earth has more protons and the outer layers more electrons. But there is magnetism, and that keeps planet Earth together." I said, "Yes, that is correct. And the same applies to galaxies and clusters of galaxies. Protons, heads, and electron tails, with their magnetism, keep everything together. And that is gravity at all levels." My friend said, "Well, the truth about gravity is surprising, especially because virus neutrinos are again being nasty and with levels of heat detaching the tails of protons. But I admire protons and electrons because, against all odds, they manage to keep everything together. In this case, I find gravity. Awesome. Until next time.